breakdowns defensively, or were they just a hot shooting night for them?
No, I mean, I think there definitely was. I thought there's some things I think that we talked about adjustment-wise in the zone that I didn't think we executed great, especially in the second half on some of the pick and roll stuff. We let the ball get over the top. We wanted to keep it on the side. We just had a hard time doing that. That was the first thing. I think the other thing, too, is we needed to be a little bit cleaner because we knew there was going to be situations where Siakam was going to be cross-matched. We're going to need to bring some help to him. And I think we need to be better and cleaner, in our post traps and our rotations out of it. But I also thought the other part of it for me was the physicality part. Like these teams, we'll see with Cleveland, on Tuesday. These guys made a deep run last year. The one thing you learn, I think, by being in the playoffs is how, like, everybody knows each other. You're playing in a 7-game series, right? Like, whenever a play's called out, both teams know what play it is. And it really, really comes down to, what I would call, like, when the ball's in the air, the physical parts. And I thought a game tonight was good for us. We've got to get better. Some of our younger guys being exposed and in those situations, especially close to the basket or loose balls or, jump ball situations. The first opening jump ball tip, they shot the gap. They called it for a violation. But then we had another one. They shot the gap again. Like those kind of things that we need to get better at. But I thought, to your point, the overall the fight was definitely there, and I appreciate that from our guys. But some of those teams, like when they look to change momentum in a game, generally the way you change momentum is not by making shots, although that helps. It's generally ramping up the physicality.
You started Dalen in the first half and Trey in the second half. What was the decision making there? And overall, how do you think Trey's played? He just looks like one of those guys who kind of stays in his lane. And
yeah, he's been great. Really high IQ. Yeah. Got a great feel for the game, and also I think for a guy that's, with his size, he's got an uncanny ability to finish. He also can spear. He's like a really good screener and plays in the pocket and then can make plays from there. The feeling, I thought Dalen, did a good job. It was just more, could we, with it being a 1-point game, could we maybe a little bit more pick him up full court, pressure him more full court to start the third quarter, and that was kind of the reason to do it.
Hey, Billy,
meaning Halliburton. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Without Kobe that first half, it seemed like he was giving him some problems. Second half, did they do anything adjustment-wise that kind of handcuffed him, at least in the scoring department? I mean, he didn't have a lot of assists or
Yeah, I think, he got it going. He ran off a period there where he knocked down a bunch of threes in a row and he got going. Again, I think that he got, I thought in the second half they were taking away the threes. I thought we got downhill quite a bit. I didn't think I don't know what the numbers will be like, but maybe off base, but I just didn't think we finished very well at the basket. Like he had a couple where he was able to get downhill and we just didn't finish, and he got a couple down, in and around the rim, he didn't finish. The other thing too, for Kobe to start the game, he made a ton of shots in the lane, like where he drove it and reverse pivoted and made a lot of those pull-ups. Then he kind of made the threes late. But they were really pressing up on him, high pickup, so it was hard getting maybe some of those threes off in the second half that he did in the first half. I thought what was open for him was attacking the basket, and I thought he tried to do that.
And then with Modest, how important is it over the rest of the season to allow him to start learning now what life is like closing games, to kind of get that feel? He's closed a couple games, but, for the most part, to put him in situations where it's a tight game, and for him to feel that physicality and the emotion of trying to, learn how to.
No, and I do think that all these experiences for him, are going to be important. And I'm certainly not opposed to having him close games, but any experience he got, like I think if you look at since he started, the 10 days that he's had, it's been Durant, Kawhi, Paul George, Siakam, like. Yeah. Those are like obviously elite players, and we haven't, quote unquote, tried to hide him and stick him somewhere. He needs to line up and guard his position, and he's tried to do that. I do think the next step for him, like you said, is maybe closing some games and doing some of those things. Sometimes the matchups will dictate it, sometimes they don't. Right. But I'm not opposed to it. But I think all these things and that's where I think for me with these young guys, where there's got to be a balance where, what are they doing to impact winning rather than expecting, because they're getting playing time, that they're getting better. Like, I think there's a real fine line there. And that's not to say I don't want to play modest. I don't mean that at all. What I'm saying is we got to make sure he's learning through his experience, and it's not chalked up to, well, I'm young, I'm a rookie, it's okay.
Right.
No, it's not. No, it's not. There, you've got to keep getting better, and there's an expectation, in these situations. And all of our guys, and we as coaches, me as coach, make mistakes, but it can't be that's okay. Like, you got to try to learn from it and get better. So that's where I think the growth has got to happen for him.
Yeah, along those lines, he told me that stretch of guarding KD, Pete, Paul George, and then Kawhi impacted his offensive game. And he said, that's where I've got to be better. I've got to be good at both ends.
Yeah.
And he thought he did okay on Durant. He said, obviously, no one's going to shut down Durant. But he said he thought he was responsible team defender against Durant in particular. Do you see that? Do you like that inward looking of him wanting to just go like, hey, I got to be better at both ends?
I think he has a chance to be a really, really terrific player, and he's already a terrific player. I don't mean that, but I mean really evolve into being, reaching his full potential as a player, like with the athleticism. I do think there's a really a good mentality about him. He's not afraid, which I like. He knows there's going to be mistakes made, which I think he utilizes as an opportunity to grow. And I think he leans into this stuff, and I give him credit, for that. He hasn't really shied away. And listen, some of this stuff, like the one area that he's got to get way better, and it's not really anything we can do about it right now, he's just got to get physically stronger. Yeah. He just gets overwhelmed at times, and it's not his fault, or it's not that he's not trying. It's just a guy 19 years old. So that's the thing I think we try to figure out coaching-wise is, what are the things that he's really has control over, and what's some of the things that he doesn't? And there's times you see him battling in there, but he gets wedged out of the way or pushed out of the way. It's not from a lack of trying. The ones that kind of upset me are the ones where a shot goes up and he's not even turning to look to even find somebody to block out or put his body. And he's going to have to. He had a great play in the first half. He ran down a fast break and recovered a layup for a block shot. He does some very spectacular things, but there are things physically when you're playing some of these teams that we've played against where he's, I think, learning a lot and is going to grow a lot from it.
Awesome. Thank you, Billy.
Okay, thanks, guys. Yeah.